Hey everybody, Spencer from SMTN here. Just wanted to talk to you about something kind of interesting that popped up. So I'm recording this on October 29th, 2020, which is actually the release day of Nocturne Remastered in Japan. So I wasn't planning on covering the game just because I'm waiting for the English version. From everything I've seen, the port seems more than serviceable, but it's kind of what I expected. No frills, they added trophies, they added voice acting, it's on the Switch if you want that. Cool, there you go. But what I found was really interesting, as people were posting screenshots and startup screens specifically from the PlayStation 4 version of the game, it has been discovered that Atlus Japan actually developed this remaster in Unity. So what's interesting about this is two things. One is that Atlus actually decided not to just use a proprietary engine like they are pretty common to doing with stuff like SMT or Persona. Even if you look at stuff like with Catherine, where they are still working in their own engines even in re-releases. So what's so interesting about it being in Unity is the fact that Unity has been around for about 15 years. Unity got its start in 2005, if you believe it or not, and has been used across various generations from PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, PC, Mac, phones. It's been everywhere. It's basically sort of similar to something like, let's say, Game Maker or Unreal Engine 4, where it is these very easily accessible engines that are meant to kind of be as easy to develop for as possible so that people don't have as many hurdles when it comes to putting games out. Now, I'm not really going to be dipping my toe that into the debate of is Unity a good engine or is it a bad engine. Obviously, there are tons and tons of games out there that use the Unity game engine. There are tons of games that you can look at and say, look at this asset flipping trash, and then there are also tons of games like Cuphead, or you can just be like, look, this game is amazing and runs really, really well. Actually, one of my most anticipated games on PlayStation 5, Oddworld Soulstorm, is, at least for my opinion, I think that is one of the most graphically impressive 3D games on Unity, so I personally can't wait to play that. So what's so interesting about this, and also my second point, just as a little funny developer thing, I found this very funny, is that they kept the splash screen in, because if you are using a certain license for Unity, unless you want to pay extra, you have to keep in somewhere in your game saying that the game was made in Unity. And so I just thought it was funny that Sega and Atlus were like, nah, we'll keep the extra couple $100 and just throw it in there. Just a little funny aside, just because I know. So what's actually funny is this isn't even Atlus or Sega's first time using Unity, even in recent history. One of the mini games in Judge Eyes, or Judgment as it's called in the West, is actually made in a Unity wrapper inside of the game engine. So I just think it's so interesting that they have been using it but not really been advertising it very much. I'm honestly more surprised that like Unity during any of their press conferences over the last couple of months haven't been like, oh cool, hey look, we're working with a lot of big new Japanese developers, because like there's not a ton of big name Japanese games that are made in Unity. It's definitely much more of a Western thing, because I think if you look at the game development scene, Unreal Engine 4 has definitely been heavily adopted. Look at Square Enix with Kingdom Hearts 3, look at Capcom with stuff like Street Fighter 5, even though that looks like hot trash. Look at Namco Bandai with Tekken 7. It's a engine that's just been very universally, if not praised, at the very least, been kind of lauded as, hey look, this is universally agreed upon by people on the eastern and western side of game dev community as, hey, this is a good engine, let's work on this, and you'll very rarely see people give Unreal Engine 4 a lot of crap online. So wrapping this back around to Unity and Atlus, what I thought was so interesting about this is that now that Atlus has released and published, at least in Japan, Nocturne Remastered, and it is using some form of the Unity engine, it's led me to kind of start speculating something that gets me a lot more hopeful. Is that my hope for this is that Atlus Japan basically put all of their effort into making a PS2 emulator in Unity that lets them put out more games as quickly as possible in this thing called a wrapper. So basically what a game wrapper is in Unity, and it can be applicable to other game engines without getting too in the weeds about it, what's interesting about a game wrapper is, let's say all they really have to do now is, let's look at the Digital Devil Saga or the Devil Summoner games. Those already have voice acting. Those, for the most part, have all the content really in there, give or take a couple of quality of life things. And if you're looking at Nocturne Remastered, like I said, outside of the fact that it is widescreen support on the Switch, has trophies on PS4, and has very, very minor improvements, there's nothing about this that was that crazy of a task that you couldn't have done just like emulating the game and messing around with it yourself. So hopefully, assuming Nocturne sells well, like I said, I'm recording this on the launch day in Japan, so we're going to have to wait at least a week to see how it does sales-wise. I'm expecting it does fine. I don't think it's going to, like, melt anyone's brains off. But hopefully it reaches a certain threshold for Atlus Japan to view releasing the other PlayStation 2 games as viable, because if it's easier for them just to release a PS2 game at $50 a pop, or hopefully with the other two they release them in compilations of Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2 and Devil Summoner 1 and 2, it would just give that audience so much more things to praise about. Because yes, while we're all super excited to play Nocturne again, there's also been a lot of people who took this announcement and are looking at the release of, okay, so does this mean we're going to get more PS2 games, or are we going to have to like pray and hope that it does crazy, crazy well? Because before this, I was thinking, they're probably doing something with their own proprietary engine. It was probably a little more, I was thinking it was a little bit more expensive, even though there weren't that many frills and features added to it. So, at the very least, I'm hoping that with Unity, they've already done a lot of the initial legwork they would need to get DDS and Devil Summoner 1 and 2 onto PS4, PC, and Switch, and maybe even Xbox, because, like, really, it's Unity. Like, you could port it to anything. People have already looked in some of the game code, and there's mentions of, I think it's either PC or Steam. And it's like, yeah, if you're already making a wrapper in Unity, there's nothing stopping you from putting it on consoles outside of licensing fees. So, basically, the whole point of this video is for me to say, don't look at Unity as, oh, gross, they used this open software, or don't think that Atlus is lazy by using Unity. Look at Atlus using Unity as a potentially great idea of, hey, from everything we're seeing, the port is fine. There doesn't seem to be any crazy, crazy bugs, but obviously I'm recording this on launch day. Things could change. But assuming everything is good and well, this opens the door so much more than we had ever thought of before for the PlayStation 2 games to get a lot more love and respect. And that's without even really getting into Persona. So, at the very least, hopefully, Unity is actually the key that we need to getting more SMT games on current hardware, because while it's really fun to go back and play it on their natural hardware, I cannot tell you how much I would love to go back and replay everything with just trophies alone. Either way, guys, that is the whole point of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of Nocturne using Unity down in the comments below. If you enjoyed videos like this, make sure to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys all later. Have a good one.